Hello, welcome to my whiteboard video. Today we're going to be talking about the economics of why people care so much about PSA and tag and the differences in how they're graded. Now, if you've come to this video looking for where should you get your grading next, I highly recommend you to go watch Sleeve No Card Behind. He has an amazing video talking about where you should get your card graded, why you should care about your cards being graded. I like economics, and I'm simply going to be talking about why things are the way they are and why people want them to stay that way. So we're talking about market demand and stuff like that. That's what this video is going to be about. Now, very quickly, I wanted to point out the things that I have up here. PSA has a 4-month turnaround. That's how long it usually takes them to go ahead and, you ship out your card. You're going to get it within 3 to 4 months. That's how long it's going to take you to get your card back from PSA. Tag, on the other hand, it's going to be 15 business days. Now, the reason that this is very important is because a lot of people are now looking at Tag to be able to get this out of 15 business days. Why does it matter, and why do I believe that Tag is going to stay very close to these 15 business days at maximum a month? The reason for that is that Tag is actually using computers to grade your cards. So Tag has decided to not be subjective on things, mostly be subjective as to how they tell the computer as to how they're going to grade your card. On the other hand, PSA, the reason that this 4-month turnaround exists and the reason that it will forever exist as long as the grading demand is very high is because PSA grades based off the person looking at the card. So if someone looks at your card, subjectively they agree or disagree that it should get a certain number between 1 to 10 on that card. That is what decides the valuation of that card. Now, why do people care so much? Here is the other side of my whiteboard. Now, what I wanted to mention is that there's a lot of money to be made grading cards. I've even looked into it, and I was really close to really investing myself into doing it. I decided not to. I decided to simply focus on sealed product. But this is something that I highly recommend to anybody that wants to make a few bucks or wants to gamble. Honestly, that's what a lot of this is. The reason for that is that there are a lot of risk involved in grading your cards. Why? Now, think about it like this. The value of grading. I know my lighting is really scuffed. I'll try to see what I can cover. Here is a single. Let's say I go ahead and go to an LGS and go to a store and say, hey, can I have a single? They're going to say, sure, $10. You pay the $10. Now, if your card comes back from PSA a 9, your card is now worth $11, and that kind of sucks. The reason for that is that it usually costs money to get your cards graded. It'll cost you, let's say, $15, $19, $20, even $30 if you're only sending one individual card because of the packaging, the shipping, the time, etc. PSA 10, on the other hand, once again, I'm using very broad example. PSA 10 is going to be $100. Now, this is not always the case. Sometimes it'll only go up to like between $80, $60, right? I'm just using a very excessive example. This is not the norm. This is easily not the norm. I can guarantee that this is not the norm. Now, a lot of factors decide on the valuation. Population, demand, and pretty much everything in between. So if the demand isn't there, this is not going to be $100. If the demand is there, this is going to be $100. If the population, being that there is not a lot of cards that are getting a 10 for that specific card that you bought, then this is likely to be $100. Makes sense? Now, over there, the grading cost, $15. Let's assume that you got lucky or that you went to GameStop, wherever you wanted to get your cards graded at PSA. Cool. The profit margin is going to be $100. You got it graded and you got a 10. Congrats. But now the profit margin is so lucrative because $100 minus $10 minus the $15 that you spent, you made a $75. You made 75% profit. That is insane. But what you have to consider is that the possibility of you not getting a PSA 10. It's not always guaranteed. You can look at your card, you can think it's a badass, amazing card, nothing wrong with it. But if you get a 9, think of all the money that you just lost. You had 10 plus 15 invested into it. $25 was invested into it. And now you can only sell it at $11. The thing is that when you grade a card, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to flat out at $15, which is how much it costs you to grade it, or it's not going to be adding of the grading cost and the card value. That's the tricky part, and that is where a lot of people will lose money on, and they struggle to be able to put everything together. Now, let's go back to the economics of why this is important. Look at how lucrative this is. Again, this is a very excessive example. A lot of the times it's not $100. You can imagine it. A lot of the times it'll be 75, 65. But even then, there's a lot of money. But if PSA's valuation at any point goes down, the amount of money that person that invested hundreds of thousands, imagine someone invested $1,000 that got them graded with PSA. We have a problem now. This person's valuation is going to go down. And that is a very big issue to them, because they're going to say, why is my card going down? Oh my goodness, tag sucks. So they have reason to be upset with tag is objective grading to it. There is reason for them not to like tag. There's reason for them not to like CGC. There are collectors out there, though, that like grading with every company, and they like specific graders because of the way that they label things, whatever, right? So everybody has their own preferences. There are cases of that, but there's also cases where people will do anything to not see their PSA valuations go lower. So, they don't want their $100 card to go down. Now, that doesn't make sense. What if they just sold it? That's the thing. A lot of people that have gotten a PSA 10 simply choose to hold on to their cards, me included. I got this for $130. This is a PSA 10 Charmander. I got this just because I thought it looked badass. I really did. It is $190 now. A card value isn't stagnant. It goes based off the market. So the card that you get, it's slammed. It's perfect. It's in plastic. It's in a hard shell. And the valuation can only usually go up for collectibles. Collectibles are very good at holding value because they're not going to consistently be available to people. So when you grade something and you guarantee yourself the valuation or the ranking of your card, you have guaranteed yourself for the valuation to go up. But if PSA loses valuation because they cannot catch up with demand, that tag is now 15 days and then PSA is still 4 months, and it's growing, by the way. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. Like, the demand and the popularity of Pokemon and a lot of other collectibles is going so high that this is only getting worse. Because a person has to show up to work, a person has to look at that card, identify the card, make sure the card is real. Because they clearly do not want to make the same mistake CGC made, where you identified a fake card and you gave it a value. So there's a lot of reason that the subjectiveness is only going to increase the length. Now, again, that's only in the current market. In future market, you can possibly see that this number will go down. So if that number goes down, let's say it's to 2 months, and this is still 15 days, if PSA is really popular, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that it's 15 days. No one's going to give a crap. If no one's buying tag slams, if no one's buying these high ranked cards that were graded by tag, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. If this is only 2 months and people are like, oh, okay, then I'm just going to go back to PSA. It makes a lot of sense. And a lot of people are going to do that. A lot of people are waiting to do that. A lot of people are holding on to a lot of singles that they're like, I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to wait. Not only that, though, but there's also that subjectivity that because people know that it is an individual making these decisions, sometimes they actually do something that doesn't benefit PSA. So they'll send a few cards at a time because they want to make sure that the person that is grading their cards isn't having a bad day. And that's just crazy to think about. It's so crazy to think about that if someone is having a bad day, your valuation is going to go down the drain. Not only that, but the cost that it charges you with PSA also does not benefit. There's a lot of factors that are not benefiting PSA right now, but it doesn't change the fact that this 4-month turnaround means that they have such a massive demand. They are winning. You cannot deny that. You cannot sit here and say, oh, well, like PSA sucks. People love them. I have a PSA slab. I don't have a tag slab right now as of this moment, right? I went to the store, I'd buy a PSA slab. So you have to consider that the demand is still there. A lot of people love this. Now, I can acknowledge that a lot of this sounds like I am putting dismay on PSA, but I'm just pointing out a lot of reasonings of what is pushing people on social media, on Reddit, on Facebook, on anything. Why are they talking about tags so positively? All these YouTubers and stuff, they're just promoting this. It's not necessarily that. There's a lot of issues with PSA right now, and it's causing people to feel uncomfortable sending their very valuables or their very loved cards to PSA. There's a lot of factors. There really, really is. But I just gave you a lot of economical reasonings as to why people might feel uncomfortable sending them to PSA. But that doesn't change the fact that sending your card to PSA guarantees you a lot better odds of you finding yourself with a 75% profit or higher. Some people, 90% profit. Some people, though, super consistent 40% profit. But the risk, they love that. Like, a lot of people get really, really good at this. They make so much money with this formula, with this format, right? So it's very lucrative. It's very profitable. There's a reason there's so many conventions that keep happening where people keep buying, flipping, and resealing, resending, reapplying to PSA with their slabs. There's a lot of value to be made. There's a lot of money to be made. The demand is just crazy right now. So why wouldn't you? Anyways, that's it. I rambled a lot long enough. Thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed my whiteboard conversation. Subscribe. Bye.